Hey everybody, we've got a great video for you today because this is an SUV I've been waiting to test for a long time, the new RX450 Plus. This is the new plug-in hybrid version of the Lexus RX. Now Lexus says this vehicle can go up to 37 miles on a single charge, and in today's video, Case and I are going to put that through the test with some city driving, some highway driving, and some country road driving to see how far we can go. The car is currently plugged in and it is locked, and there's this little nub which means you can't release the cable until the car is unlocked. Now, this vehicle has an 18.1 kilowatt hour battery, and from empty to full on a 240 volt charger takes right around 2.5 hours, or 12 hours if you're plugging it into a standard 120 volt. All right, so hopping into the Lexus, we have a bunch of different modes. So now the first is the most obvious. We have Auto, EV, HV. That's going to cycle between gasoline and electric. We also have a mode to lock it into hybrid, a mode to lock it in an EV, and a mode to recharge the battery. So we're going to put it in the EV mode right now. Currently, the car is predicting 35 miles on electric only before the gasoline kicks on. Let's see if that is accurate. So the test today is an interesting one because it is a little cold and a little snowy and a little wet. So it's 49 degrees Fahrenheit out here in Colorado. And certainly the roads are wet. They are not snow covered, but they are wet, and that is going to impact the range performance. But of course, this is real world testing. Now, the first several miles of our trip, we're going to be in stop and go city driving. So we got some stoplights, we've got a bunch of intersections to go through, and then from there we're going to go onto a highway, 55, 65 mile an hour speed limit, and then onto some country roads, 45 or 50. So it's a really good little mix of testing. And then climate control, we've got it set to auto. I've got my heated seat on because it's pretty cold out there, but 68 degrees auto, heated seat on, just like you guys would use this vehicle on a regular basis. And let's see how this vehicle performs. Now, one thing which I think is pretty cool is that when you lock the RX into EV mode, it is in electric vehicle mode. So if I go full throttle here, it's not going to kick on the gasoline engine. It's going to only deliver the power and the torque that the electric motors have. Pretty good power and torque for driving around. You wouldn't really notice a lack of power. If you're trying to pass someone on a freeway, though, it's a little lethargic. So you got to be aware that, okay, I'm going to make a pass. I want to be in hybrid mode, or I want to be in auto mode so that that gasoline engine does kick on. 304 total horsepower. The electric system in this vehicle, we've got motors in the front for the front axle. We've got another motor in the back for the rear axle. So it is in all-wheel drive, even in EV mode, but it's not super quick. It's okay. It's adequate for driving around, but if you need to make an interstate pass, it tops out at 84 miles an hour, and it's not incredibly fast. The city driving portion is done. We got a good few miles under our belt, and actually the Lexus performs great in the city. It's pretty easy to maneuver around. It's not super big and decent visibility. But now we are on a highway, 60, 65 miles an hour is the typical speed traveled here, and we've got our proactive driving assist enabled. And this is a cool system. So adaptive cruise is on, and then the vehicle is also able to steer itself on these roads. And it's a really smooth system. There's no ping-ponging in the lane. It does a great job of maintaining lane position. It's really good. I mean, and look at all the drive assist options that this vehicle has. Lane departure warning, brake support assist, blind spot monitor, safety exit, rear cross traffic, or camera detection. It's all good. Some of it is a little intrusive, like there is a driver attention warning monitor. Luckily, you can turn it off, but I had it on the first couple of days I was driving this car around, and like you so much as like look down to maybe adjust the climate control or look out a window or talk to a friend. Even if you're engaged in the driving experience, it's like ding, 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 warning, warning, warning. That got a little frustrating. The other thing that got a little frustrating is the parking sensors. So they get clogged by snow, not a big deal. Every parking sensor has this happen. And then there's a warning that's like, hey, parking sensors are clogged. And in any other car, you'd clear that and it'd be end of it. But in this car, it says parking sensors clogged. Okay, a minute later, parking sensors unavailable. Okay, a minute later, parking sensors unavailable. And then you have to go in and turn it off. So I did that. And then driving along another 10 minutes later, it was like, Adaptive cruise radar unavailable. Okay, clear that. Adaptive cruise radar unavailable. It's just very intrusive, and some of this safety tech can really get in the way of the driving experience, so I find myself turning some of it off. I will say on a positive note, the car is an incredibly smooth highway cruiser. So set the cruise 60 miles an hour, kind of just lean back in the seat, and it's a very, very comfortable experience. It's also very quiet. These seats hold you in quite nicely, and it's a very comfortable car, which it should be when you consider the price. So I'm going to open this sticker here. We're looking at $76,305 as tested. That's a lot of money. Now the PHEV after destination, the plug-in hybrid, starts at about $70,000. So it's pretty expensive, and they're only limiting currently the plug-in hybrids on the upper end trims of the RX. I'd love to be able to get those, in some of the more affordable trims. I mean, this is something like $9,000-$10,000 more expensive than like a standard RX 350h or what have you. So it's a pretty big premium. And really, this vehicle only makes sense if you are going to plug it in. A lot of people buy plug-in hybrids. They never plug them in. They only run on gasoline. Typically, plug-in hybrids are less efficient on gasoline than standard hybrids because we've got this big 18 kilowatt hour battery we're driving around versus the standard hybrid, which is like somewhere around a 2 kilowatt hour battery. So it's a lot more weight. And if you're not going to have energy in that extra weight, what's the point of using it? It's also worth noting, once that battery dies, this vehicle is rated at 35 mpg combined on gasoline, which is pretty good. It's okay. It's going to be, dependent on how you drive, but it's also worth noting that the plug-in hybrid only has like a 14.5 gallon tank. So it's a very small tank, and I have found on road trips, you can really use that tank up quickly. I really would appreciate like a 18 gallon tank, 17 gallon tank, because that 14.5 when you're not on electricity can be sucked up pretty quick. All right, so country roads now, for maybe like the last 7-8 miles, we've got speed limits about 45. There's that sensor thing that keeps popping up again. And yeah, so we're right at 30 miles driven right now, and we've got 3 miles remaining. So in these conditions, we'll get the final number, but right around 30 to 35 miles, I think, is to be expected. These are not good conditions for EV range. We've got the heat on, we've got water on the road, which impacts, the rolling ability of the tires and the wheels. So this is a pretty tough scenario. Plus we had some highway of speeds like 60, maybe 65 in parts, but it's real world. This is actually, it's genuinely my commute. So it's a good test, and I'm just about going to be able to do my commute on electricity only. Some of like the early plug-in hybrids were 10, 12, 14, 15 miles. Those didn't really have enough useful range, in my opinion, to benefit the drawbacks, because there still are drawbacks with plug-in hybrid vehicles. They're not as maintenance-free as electric vehicles. Not that electric vehicles are completely maintenance-free, but you don't have oil to change or coolant to flush. And then, of course, you've got that battery longevity. This car does have a good battery warranty. This is a really good solution for a lot of people. Now, look, the biggest drawback for me in this vehicle is just that price of $76,305, right? And look, if you lease the vehicle, you might be able to get some tax incentives there, which is cool. No, that's a good thing, but it's still $76,000 for an RX Lexus. That's big money. And look, there's a lot of plug-in hybrids now in this class, some more expensive, but like the BMW X5 with that new 50e powertrain. The GLE is cool. The Mercedes-Benz also can be a lot more expensive than this vehicle, but it's got DC fast charging, which is kind of a cool little option. If you want to go even more expensive, Range Rover now has some pretty long range EV, so it's getting to be a competitive space. The Lexus, compared to some of those competitors, is actually a little bit more affordable. Oh, we just went into the hybrid mode. So that was 31 miles. We started at 1473. Now we're at 1504. So 31 miles driven, and we're in hybrid mode now. And if I try to go to EV mode, you can see battery low. Now note, it doesn't completely discharge the battery. I still have a nice little buffer, which means when I punch it, we still have good acceleration. It's still maintaining a buffer in the battery. We're just unable to go into full electric. So at this point now, this car drives like a normal hybrid. As a normal hybrid, car drives great. It's a lot faster, especially if you dial in. This car's got a sport mode here. Boom! 0 to 60 is somewhere in like the 6-second territory. Pretty good. really, really does move. So overall, a good car, just a little expensive on this model. I wish we could get that hybrid on some of the lower trims, and I wish it didn't nag me so much in some of the tech features, but overall, it's a pretty good car. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. 31 miles driven, is that good enough given these conditions? I will see you in the next video.